have. So try to keep the slides few so we can have more interaction. So firstly, at Aanand Aalaya, what's our vision as we're trying to do? I think the first is that may our body, energy, minds and emotions be in harmony. That's the first part, just our body, energy, mind, emotions for all be in harmony. Second, that we are aligned with our true self, who we are. So just being aligned with ourselves. And lastly, once sort of our energies are aligned, our body, mind, energy and emotions are aligned, we are aligned with our true self, then I can really be free to be me. That's for everyone, that we can live our life fully and freely. We are free to be me. So that's our vision of how we want to see where everyone is, how the world is. Our motto as we start on this journey is this, that we join every heart, so that for joy in every heart. We join every heart, and we are very coincidentally, or I don't think it's a coincidence that we are at the Heartfulness Institute. That's such a beautiful process of working with the heart. That's why our motto, the essence at every step, is to say we join every heart for joy in every heart. It's what Aanand Aalaya is all about. Just to give a quick background, what it is. So we are starting here, as I said, based on the learnings of Swasth Foundation, which has been established in Mumbai since 2009. Swasth Foundation is a not-for-profit organization which is committed to health and joy for all. So this is where we're bringing health and joy together, using the pathway of health, we're getting to joy. There are so many ways of getting to the same joy, which is our inherent being. We sort of chose the path of health. The way we work at it is by, right now in Mumbai, we run a network of primary healthcare centers as well as wellness centers. And we do this largely for the low income community, for the urban poor. So we run today about 24 clinics in Mumbai, which provides healthcare services in family medicine and dentistry. So all kinds of dengue, malaria, to hypertension, diabetes, thyroid. So all diseases are treated there, plus dental as well. So root canal, extractions, caps, focused at the low income. The way we provide those services is we try and reduce the expenditure out of pocket by 50%. So as some of you may know, but in general in India, there is no insurance in healthcare. So everybody pays out of pocket. And for the poor particularly, it becomes a very big burden. Every year, 1 in 20 people go from above poverty line to below poverty line. That's 5% of our population in India. Every year becomes poor because of healthcare. So all the growth, 8%, 10% that we all try, it goes to almost nothing because people are getting poorer because of healthcare. So our goal to start with was, how do we make healthcare good, high quality healthcare affordable, accessible to people. And what we've done in the last 10 years is served about 1 million patients and saved them over $2 million in just how much they are spending on healthcare. So they're getting access to good quality care at very reasonable rates across these 24 clinics, and the wellness part as well. So then the next stage is, how do we prevent these diseases from happening? So that's about what we do. What this is about, I think the other aspect, which is what we're trying to bring here a lot more, because the healthcare systems are different, but we believe wellness is the same. The well-being is the same. So now even WHO defines health in a very comprehensive way. It in fact says health is not the absence of disease, but it's a state of physical, mental, social and spiritual well-being. So the World Health Organization is also now recognizing health not just in our body, in the state of how we more traditionally, or the Western science has seen it as, but really a state of physical, mental, social, emotional and spiritual well-being. So looking at that comprehensive definition, now 3 years ago we started the Swasth Yoga Institute, which is an initiative of Swasth Foundation focused on how do we bring wellness, how do we create this state of complete health for all, right? Where health is not just seen narrowly in a very physical, physiological way, but really seen as an overall sense of well-being, this comprehensive health. And the reason we named it Yoga Institute is because it's anchored in the science of yoga. And this is yoga. I'll talk about it a little more, not yoga, but in the science of yoga, in the science of it, in the discipline of it, in the background of it. So that's how we have developed that model in the last 2.5 years, and also tested it. So before being it here, we've sort of done a lot of work with the community, seen results, actual results on health outcomes like blood pressure going down, arthritis getting corrected, acidity getting corrected, mental well-being getting better. So on all parameters, we've worked with now over 200 odd people, 200, 300 people, and seen symptom reductions of 60% in a period of 4 to 6 weeks. Very short term, it's almost like magic and unbelievable. So now what we are doing is we are working with the Harvard School of Public Health. We have defined a research study to demonstrate this in a very scientific way. So just like drugs are approved through a randomized control trial, using that same rigor, we are applying this discipline of yoga and saying how can we establish that this works on health, on our physical well-being. But the methodology is very different. It's not introducing any medicines, it's not creating anything different, but using this science of yoga, which so many countless yogis have developed it over so many years. In the process, we've of course gotten accreditation from Swasth, which is the Swami Vivekananda Yoga University, the only university dedicated to yoga across the world. It's based in Bangalore. We've got an accreditation from there to now even train yoga instructors. So that's what the Yoga Institute is about. We do work with the community as well, with the urban poor in Mumbai. We've seen results there. This is something we thought that can also be introduced in rest of the world much more easily. So we are in conversations again with Harvard School of Public Health. One of the things they are trying is to take primary and this preventive healthcare to other developing countries in Africa, South Asia, etc. So we are their partner, where they are trying to learn from us, document our systems, and actually take it to other parts of the world. And I think Aanand here is an attempt to start introducing it here as well. So what's the 3 stages? So we've defined a journey of 3 stages for our journey towards joy in every heart. The first step is, which is be the change you wish to see in the world. I think Gandhiji has put this out so well that it was hard to replace this. We just gone with that. But it starts with being the change. It starts with being the change, bringing that change in our own lives as a starting point. So any journey, at least we believe the journey starts with that. Of course, all of you are already doing a lot towards that and living a lot of this. My own personal journey started this way. I think now about 12 years ago, when I was just in my end 20s working at McKinsey with all the stress that was there, I got GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux, which is just very high acidity, reasonably common problem. And my colleagues around me, I was seeing, were popping pills for that, and it had become a life where every day they would have to have 2 medicines almost for the rest of their life. They had made up their mind that's what they were going to do to manage it, and that's something that I couldn't accept. I said that's not how it should be, and I think that's when I got introduced to yoga. Thankfully, worked at it and saw magical results. I think today, from that stage where I could hardly maybe even run 200 meters, now at a much later age, like almost 10 years later, I completed 2 triathlons, Olympic triathlons, living through this model, not even the Western gym, etc., but using the processes, the discipline of yoga, got my body, my fitness to that from a state where it was so going to be dependent on medicines. I was at a stage where I remember after 8 p.m. if I would have anything to eat, I couldn't sleep because there would be reflux. Acidity would work throughout the night. My whole GI system was in such a distress. So I think from there to getting to this point has been my journey of doing this. Garima, who's the head of the Yoga Institute, went through a very similar process. Even much younger, she had a severe back problem to the extent that she had to just, in the middle of a project in management consulting, stop, quit, and say 1 month she was on bed rest. And I think from there now, she has done her own discipline and reached a very similar point in physical fitness. That's just the physical part, because that's what we seem, at least a lot of people understand. But there's a lot more that has changed, which has enabled us to get there. And I think that's just a simple process. So the first stage, at least we believe in this journey, is to be the change that we want to see in the world. Whatever we want to see happens in the world, be that. The second then is to support our immediate family and our co-workers, the immediate people around us. And I think they are there around us for a reason. That's why they were brought along with us in our immediate vicinity, to support them in a similar journey, either whatever way we can, start them, work with them, etc. So that's the second stage, as we settle our systems around us, because that's the environment we'll be we spend most of our time in. So start with that once we find ourselves more stable, and lastly then support or build a community much larger around us as a health coach. So the health coach is essentially a person who can then provide this service to others, and we have developed a train the trainer kind of module, where as a person goes through this journey, becomes a health coach who can support using these structured tools and methodology, can support others as well. A much larger community, but it's sort of like a 3-stage process that we have defined. I think, of course, this is the process. What I would like to spend some more time on, just very briefly say what's at the core of the model, not go into much detail, but just briefly describe that. So the core of our model is from yoga to yoga. Yoga is how we've gotten it back in India, also from the West. It's always been yoga. The word is yoga, but the A got added, which was phonetically right. I realized later on, but then we started calling it yoga. So if you actually write yoga phonetically, it will be Y-O-G-A, but people started calling it yoga and it became yoga. There is no word. So yoga is what we use. The origin of the word yoga, very simply, it comes from the Sanskrit term yuj, which means to join. So you can see it as a union, as an alignment, as a process of harmony, or even just very simply the word and. Right? So nothing joins as and. So yoga is in some ways and. When we start saying not this or that, but start saying this and that is in a way yoga. So that's at the core of our word. How it translates into more practical stuff is looking at the word swasth again. Swasth we understand as healthy. That's how all Indians I know have grown with that word. It means health, it means healthy. But if you again break it down to its roots, it's made of 2 words, swa and stha. So swa means self, it's myself, it's my inner self. And stha means sthit, right? Stable. So even the English word stable has a very similar sound. If you see this, it's stable, it's just being very rooted in yourself. So it essentially means being yourself, be me. And that's at the core of our model, which is be me. And when we take it further, how be me translates is into our individual components. And this is the yogic Panch Kosh model, which is essentially this, where B is body, E is our energy, or the Pranamaya Kosha, B is body, the Annamaya Kosha, M is the mind, the Manomaya Kosha, M and E emotions as well. So that's where our mind works. So be me really translates to body, energy, mind, emotions, and when they are in harmony, when they are in alignment, when my body, my energy, my mind, my thoughts, my emotions are in sync, that is the state of being swasth, that is the state of being yoga. That's at the center and core of our model essentially. And the entire process is then built around getting to this state, discovering our own body, discovering the link between our body, our mind, our energy, our emotions. And once that happens, health is a natural outcome. So all goals, weight, etc., all that happens. It's just our system getting into alignment and looking at the system in this way, in looking at the individual components, understanding those individual components, in depth and finding the linkage between them. I think the linkage is often what we don't do. So even Western science, of course, has understood a lot about body. Their entire work has been on body. They've very recently started working a lot more on the mind, right? So with what happens to the mind with the psychologists, psychiatrists, but the work they haven't done much on is on the energy side, and more importantly on the linkage, on the alignment, on how they are so interconnected. In the yogic system, every disease, in fact it's dis-ease, right? Even the word dis-ease, when we are at unease, when we are not at ease, every disease in the body has its origin in the mind. So it's a vyadhi which is expressed in the body, and there is a source, an adhi, which is in the mind. So every condition, that's the belief. There's a very tight linkage between the two, and we'll find that as whatever is happening in our body, the source is in our mind, and that's what this process or this journey that we've created is about, where the person discovers for their own self what's ailing their body, what's the adi behind it, what's ailing their mind, what's been happening in the mind, and how to then resolve it through that process, and it just slowly starts building up. So just to give an example, I talked about my acidity, my GERD, right? And when I went through this process, and what I understood was that was an expression of my body rejecting what I was seeing in management consulting, right? So I hadn't recognized that. That was a very strong misalignment in me, that as I was serving various healthcare companies, pharmaceutical companies in India, meeting doctors, hospitals, just seeing how the health system was going, the corruption that was there, literally, the fact that behind every prescription there was a commission that the doctor was getting, and what was happening to the patient at the end. Nobody was really caring about that. And my role as a consultant was to make this pharma company earn more profits by doing a very similar thing. And that was something I could, yes, in my mind think about, yeah, it's a great thing, my career is going well, but my body was rejecting it. My inner self was rejecting that. And that's what was reflecting in my body in the form of this disease. And I think realizing that brought a lot of ease to my system and sort of removed it. Yes, I did the asanas, etc., which is the body part, to strengthen what had weakened in the body, but it was the mind or the inner self which was disaligned, which was the root cause. And I could have done it. And I think first 2 years I spent doing that. I did a lot of asanas, the practices, the running, the gym, etc., to see, yes, I could get my weight down, I could be healthy, but it would come back. It would come back again and again till I really resolved what was ailing me in my mind, because my inner self was not aligned. So as soon as that happened, it's brought in a lot of ease. It's changed a lot of things which I thought I could never eat, because these were like since childhood problems were happening. That also got rectified. I could eat a lot more. I could eat those things as well. Because earlier it would be like even 2 spoons of curd would get me tonsils, right? It would blow up my tonsils. But then those things also started resolving, etc. So the power of resolving it from the root cause, from the mind, by going through this process is just immense. It's not a one-time thing. It then automatically starts you on a journey of its own. So that's what the process we've developed. It's a process which takes a few weeks in a very facilitated way. That's the workshop, how we run it in there. So practically in India right now, we run it as a 7-week workshop where participants come together, and we take them through this process. We bring in a lot of these concepts, but more than concepts, it's experiencing them. It's working with them on yourself, like be the change. So just focus on yourself, understanding it, applying it, and the health coach supports you in that journey of helping you apply it through that, whatever doubts, questions, etc. come up, and work through that process. The health coach, one aspect of the health coach is that they work on the yogic principles, on the yogic side, but the other, and with the knowledge, discipline, the other is also they use the methodology of coaching. Coaching as defined by the International Coaching Federation on coaching skills, which is an empowering methodology and not a counseling or a instructional methodology. It allows you to find your own answers, find your own systems, because this is a very individual journey. It's a journey, everyone has their own unique journey. Nobody can say this is what it is. So somebody else with GERD, he will have a very different root cause of it. It won't be the same as mine. Right? right? So, but there is some misalignment which we can only know for ourselves. Nobody else can. So, coaching is a methodology which helps us find our own answer. So, a health coach essentially works with that. This sort of is one picture that we drew out, which then captures all of this, the entire model in one sort of picture. Try to capture it, which is, if you see, it's about free to be me. Right? That's our goal, that we are free to be ourselves, really bringing our body, emotions, energy aligned to work with the self, to finally connect with our true self, which is our essence. And once we do that, we sort of result. We can live, be drenched in peace, love, and joy. That's our true nature of peace, love, and joy. So through ourself, we can connect with that, and the process is to align with our body, energy, mind, and emotions. That's who we are. Then we are free to be me. I've kept a very short note, I think a printout outside, which sort of captures this, a little bit of this. It's on the table outside. The last part, the journey, very practically, the first step of the journey breaks down into, it's a 3-stage journey. The first is yoga for wellness, which is just understanding what is yoga. A little bit of what I have shared, but there's a lot more around it. Then there are sort of 3 possible paths, 3+. There are so many paths to the same thing. Right? It's the same source, you can say, or the same ocean we all are trying to reach. The pathways are different. We have articulated with 3 pathways, which is, one is yogic ahar, which is what we call as nutrition sometimes, or the food side, which looks at our body. It's essentially the pathway of the body. Yogic kriyas, which is what is known as yoga, the asana, pranayam, those practices of yoga and the traditional side, and yogic vichar, which is the mind. How do we manage our mind and emotions? So these are the 3 sort of pathways. You could choose 1, 2, 3, all 3, whatever works. I think the important thing is you find what works for you. That's the most important aspect of this. What works for you? There's no set path that this is the way, this is the direction. The coach's job, our job is to say what will support you, because it's a journey that you have to take, so you have to be very comfortable about it. And then it all culminates in saying being in yoga. So yoga is, one is about the doing, what we do, but it's essentially every moment, how are we in yoga, how are we in union with ourselves, in alignment with ourselves, in alignment and working through that. So that's that's sort of the 3-stage journey. It can be, as I said, pathways are many. These are the 3 we have articulated. I don't know how, as I said, in India we started with the 7-week process, etc. I don't know how we can do it here, but one attempt that we have made is try and bring this out in the form of books, in the form of books that, a book or a workbook which you can work with yourself through this process. So right, so it's come out, so these 5 are also getting out as books, or workbooks, where you can work with this in the same way. So Yoga for Wellness, as you go through the book, there will be exercises, there will be practices that you can do it yourself, record that, and move with that, along with it, and go through this journey in that sense. And we can support right now in whatever way we can remotely. I think in terms of in-person, I think we're still trying to figure out. Vikas, who is setting up the structure here, and some of you are supporting in that process, will create some mechanisms on how do we provide more live and support on that. So books is one of the way where we've captured. It's not knowledge, so it's a very, just to reiterate, it's something that you have to experience. So the book is also designed in that way. It's not about to complete the book. The purpose is go through it, experience it, do the exercises, see what happens, reflect on it, and move ahead. So yeah, that's about it from my side. Any questions, thoughts, comments?
So this has any age limit to start with?
No.